What if I told you that a miracle is unfolding not in secret, not in theory, but in real life right now? In the rugged mountains of Ethiopia, far from headlines and spotlights, an ancient people are rising. For generations, they lived in isolation, their traditions intact, their faith unshaken. These are not tourists, not refugees. They are descendants of a lineage older than most nations, and they are coming home. They call themselves the Beta Israel, House of Israel. For more than 2,000 years, they were cut off from the rest of the Jewish world. Tucked away in remote villages, they lived according to the ancient ways. They kept the Sabbath. They studied the Torah. They circumcised their sons. They prayed to return to a land they had never seen, Jerusalem. And now, their journey has begun. From the valleys of Gondar to airstrips carved out of dust, entire families are boarding planes. Not for adventure, not for escape, but for something deeper, destiny. This isn't a fantasy. It's not folklore. It's history colliding with prophecy. The Hebrew scriptures speak of a people returning from beyond the rivers of Cush, an old name for parts of Africa. Today, those words echo louder than ever as jet engines roar over the desert, carrying the children of Israel back to their ancestral home. It didn't begin yesterday. In the 1980s, Ethiopia was collapsing into civil war. Violence threatened every village. Hunger spread. And for the Beta Israel, hope seemed to vanish until it didn't. In 1984, under total secrecy, the Israeli government launched a daring mission, Operation Moses. Thousands were flown out under the cover of night. Many had never seen electricity, let alone boarded a plane. But they trusted something greater was guiding them. That was just the beginning. In 1991, with chaos erupting again, Operation Solomon unfolded. 35 aircraft, stripped of seats to fit more passengers, lifted over 14,000 Ethiopian Jews to safety in less than 36 hours. Mothers gave birth mid-flight. Elders wept. And children sang ancient prayers as they touched down in the land of promise. For many, it was the first time hearing Hebrew spoken by people outside their village. For others, it was proof that the words they had whispered for generations were true. One day, we will go home. Why now? Why would a people be scattered for millennia, only to return in our time? Some say it's political. Others say it's humanitarian. But for those watching with eyes of faith, it's something else entirely. It's the unfolding of a divine plan. Beta Israel's origin story is shrouded in mystery and wonder. Some say they descend from the tribe of Dan, one of the lost tribes of Israel. Others trace their roots to the union of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Either way, their connection to ancient Israel is undeniable and their longing for Zion unshakable. In their most remote communities, many didn't even know the Second Temple in Jerusalem had been destroyed. That's how long they had been cut off from the world. And yet, they never forgot who they were. Their return isn't just a footnote in history. It's a living sign. It tells us something is happening. Something spiritual. Something prophetic. They waited patiently through persecution and poverty. They held on while empires rose and fell. And now, at a moment when the world seems more divided than ever, God is gathering his people. Across the land of Israel today, Ethiopian families are planting roots. Children are learning Hebrew alongside Amharic. Old traditions meet new possibilities. It's not easy. Every return comes with challenges. But the spirit that carried them through centuries still burns in their hearts. The story of the Beta Israel isn't over. It's still being written. And if you're watching closely, you'll see it's not just about one group. Their return is a reminder for all of us. A reminder that promises can be delayed, but not broken. That no matter how far you wander, the path home is never lost. From the mountains of Ethiopia to the hills of Jerusalem, the journey continues. And prophecy walks among us. At first, they arrived in secret. Then came public flights, open arms, and reunions long delayed. But the return hasn't ended because this isn't just about migration. It's about a promise. Why now? Why Ethiopia? The answer lies in Isaiah 11:11. The Lord will reach out his hand a second time to gather his people from Cush. Cush is ancient Ethiopia. This prophecy wasn't vague. It named real places. And now, real people descendants of Beta Israel are stepping into it. These aren't European Jews. Their exile began long before the diaspora most people know. Yet here they are returning, just as foretold. The word Cush appears nearly 30 times in Scripture, always pointing to the same region in Africa. Isaiah meant it literally. So did the psalmist in Psalm 68:31. Ethiopia will stretch out her hands to God. And today they are. Ethiopian Jews are worshiping in Jerusalem, learning Hebrew, singing David's psalms, and celebrating ancient feasts. Their presence is a sign, not just a statistic. Some walked for days. Some buried loved ones along the journey. But when they reached Israel, they wept and said, "We are home." If these prophecies are being fulfilled now, it means something bigger is coming. Because in Scripture, the gathering always comes before the king returns. He who scattered is gathering once more, quietly, faithfully. And the world is watching prophecy take its first steps. Their return has never been easy. They've faced rejection, hardship, and years of silence. Many were overlooked, misunderstood even by those who shared their faith. But they didn't come back for comfort. They came because they believed the voice of God was calling. When they landed in Israel, they kissed the ground. They sang the ancient psalms. Some had crossed deserts barefoot. Now they flew into Tel Aviv with tears in their eyes. Their journey wasn't just difficult, it was sacred. During Operation Solomon, one Boeing 747 carried over 1,000 people in a single flight, a world record. Not one life was lost. That wasn't just history. It felt like something divine. But the mission isn't finished. Even in 2025, thousands of Beta Israel remain in Ethiopia. Many live in waiting camps, some separated from family for decades. But the promise to bring them home is still alive. And now, Christians around the world are joining the effort, helping with flights, donations, and prayer. Because this isn't just a Jewish return. It's a sign for the world. The first return was quiet. The next, fast. But the final wave may come in the middle of chaos when the world is shaken. And this isn't just about Ethiopia. In India's northeastern hills, in Manipur and Mizoram, lives a small group with an old claim. They call themselves the B'nai Manash, children of Manasseh. They sing in Hebrew. They keep the Sabbath. They remember stories of the Red Sea, of Abraham and Moses. They say they are one of Israel's lost tribes. And astonishingly, the Israeli government believes them. How did they hold on to their identity for 2,700 years? They didn't learn these things from missionaries. Their traditions were passed down voice to voice, heart to heart for generations. But passed down from where? To understand, we go back. After King Solomon's death, Israel split. The 10 northern tribes, including Manasseh, drifted from God. In 722 BC, the Assyrians invaded and scattered them across foreign lands. Most were thought to be lost forever. But what if they weren't? The B'nai Manash tell of a long journey, from Samaria to Persia, through Tibet and Burma, and finally into India. Along the way, they stopped at a place they call Shinlung Cave, a landmark on their path of exile. They never forgot where they came from, and they never stopped dreaming of going home. Now, that dream is stirring again, and it may be more real than anyone expected. They endured exile, centuries of it. But through it all, they never lost their identity, and they never forgot their purpose. And now, that purpose is unfolding before our eyes. But why Manasseh? Why does this tribe, seemingly forgotten by history, suddenly matter so much? Manasseh was the firstborn son of Joseph, born in Egypt during a time of deep famine and desperation. But when Joseph brought his 2 sons to his dying father, Jacob did something completely unexpected. He didn't treat them as grandchildren. He adopted them as sons, as equals. He gave them full inheritance blessings equal to the 12 tribes. Genesis tells us that Manasseh's inheritance stretched wide territory on both sides of the Jordan River. And in the book of Joshua, their borders reached from the Mediterranean Sea all the way into the wilderness. It was no small portion. It was a double blessing. But the story doesn't stop there. Centuries later, Manasseh's name appears again, this time in the book of Revelation as one of the 12 tribes sealed in the 144,000. That raises a question. Why Manasseh? Why is this specific tribe highlighted in the final prophetic vision of Scripture? To understand the weight of this, we must revisit Israel's long, painful history of exile. The Assyrian conquest in 722 BC scattered 10 tribes, including Manasseh, like leaves in a storm. Then came Babylon in 586 BC. But that exile ended. The captives returned. Not so with the 10 tribes. Then Jesus warned of another judgment. In Luke 21:6, he spoke of a coming day when the stones of the temple would be torn down, not one left upon another. And in 70 AD it happened. Roman legions destroyed Jerusalem. The temple burned. The people were scattered again, this time for nearly 1,900 years. But then, something impossible happened. In 1948, the nation of Israel was reborn. A homeland restored. A miracle no one expected. Yet even that wasn't the final chapter. It was just the beginning of a bigger return. In the 1950s, in a remote corner of northeast India, a tribal elder had a dream. He saw a land flowing with milk and honey, a homeland that his ancestors had spoken of long ago. Around the same time, Christian missionaries arrived with Bibles translated into the local tongue. But instead of introducing a new faith, something strange happened. The tribe didn't learn the Bible, they recognized it. The stories were already theirs. The holidays they had celebrated matched the feasts in Leviticus. The songs they sang contained Hebrew phrases. Their customs mirrored ancient temple worship. They weren't being taught about Israel. They were remembering Israel. And then came the moment that changed everything. In 2005, the chief rabbi of Israel made a stunning announcement. The Bnei Menashe, the children of Manasseh, were indeed descendants of the lost tribe. After 2,700 years, they were no longer forgotten. They were coming home. But recognition didn't mean rescue. Bureaucracy moved slowly, too slowly, and in May 2023, violence erupted across Manipur and Mizoram. Sacred gathering places were burned to the ground. Torah scrolls, handwritten and preserved for generations, were turned to ash. Some community leaders fled. Others were killed. Entire communities that had survived nearly 3 millennia were nearly destroyed in a single night. Michael Freund, leader of Shavei Israel, sounded the alarm. If we don't act now, we may lose them forever. Every hour became critical. And still, the world barely noticed. But here's what few people realize: this isn't just about one tribe or one nation. What's happening in India is part of something global. In Spain and Latin America, descendants of Jews forced into hiding during the Inquisition are rediscovering their identity. Some call them crypto-Jews. In Nigeria, entire communities are revealing DNA links to ancient Israel. In China, small groups still follow Hebrew customs passed down without books or teachers. In Afghanistan, rescue missions brought out hidden Jewish families from the shadows of danger. From the highlands of Ethiopia to the jungles of Central America, something remarkable is happening. A pattern is emerging. The scattered are stirring. The forgotten are rising. And it's not coincidence. The God who once scattered the tribes is now gathering them from the deserts, the forests, the mountains, and the edges of the earth. And this time, it's not just history. It's prophecy coming to life.